UFC Vegas 87 coming up this weekend. We're doing the preview. We're talking about Diddy and whatever else. Let's go.
Let's go.
Jeez. You know, how about that Diddy? Diddy. I don't think Fred's back. Fred had to go. Fred is here on the show, right? And AJ is like dying. I think, AJ, are you okay? Should I just go back to me? Should I just go back to
Sick
me?
like a dog, man.
Just go back to me. Just me. It's just me
Look how
tonight,
handsome
guys.
that fellow is.
Look at this guy.
Look how handsome that guy is.
Tremendous.
Look at this guy. He's a superstar. He's like freaking Brad Pitt. Look at him. All smiles. Like the freaking, I don't know if it was like the devil on your shoulder or the angel on your shoulder, but that last face was awesome, man. I'm like, there he is, Brad Pitt. The angel. He's up to no good. Hey.
Always up to no
how's
good.
How's my dating profile? Hi, my name's David. Super Dave Simon.
Yeah, use my picture for your dating profile, AJ.
Hey, that's a good idea. I didn't think of that, Dave. That's awesome. You don't mind?
People get the wrong idea. Well, actually, maybe that would be fun, just so I would know what would happen.
It's kind of like that controversy now with Mackenzie Dern and her husband. What? You know, trying to set her up. Like, did you hear that whole story? It was like another one of these where I'm trying to get my girlfriend involved, and it was Mackenzie Dern's husband trying to set up with the opponent. I forgot the guy's name there. But anyways, there was some controversy where he was trying to set up a fight and using Mackenzie Dern as like bait, you know, like as if she's cheating on him. You didn't hear that?
No.
It just happened this week or last week or something.
I don't even understand the story you're telling right now.
It's weird, man. It's a weird story. It was basically he was trying to set up a fight with another athlete, but what he did is he used Mackenzie Dern as like trying to like show that she's interested in the guy while she's with her husband, you know, like. But it was the husband that set it up, you know,
Fred,
so that he could come in there and.
What's he talking about?
Are you aware of it, Fred? Tell me you are.
Oh, hold on, Fred. We're getting no audio from you, Fred. We don't hear you.
Freddie's gone, man.
We're not hearing Fred. Hold on, that's a Fred thing. Hold on, Fred's gonna fix it.
Like a dog,
there he is. He's back.
Oh, there you
Fred,
are.
what the hell is AJ talking about?
Yes, before the show.
I got no clue what he's talking about, but a quick Google search.
I'm surprised. Yeah, do Mackenzie Dern and
seemed to send to some type of story involving Bobby Green, but I'm not really sure.
Bobby Green, exactly.
I want to read it all.
Let's ignore.
I don't know. Keep talking while I read this.
All right. AJ, I don't know what you're talking about. We were way off last weekend for our parlays. None of us won. It was pretty sad.
Man, it was terrible.
But I was happy for Brian Ortega. I thought Ortega delivered a pretty unbelievable performance. When it happened, I was kind of like, damn, I really thought Yair was going to win. I had some money on Yair. But, you know, looking at the fight, you got to give it to Brian Ortega and what he was able to do, all that time off, all that inactivity, the way the last fight with Yair ended where he injured his shoulder in the first round, the fact that he hadn't fought in nearly 2 years, and the fact that he rolled his ankle jumping up in the cage. I don't know if you guys saw this, but when he was jumping up getting ready to fight this past weekend against Yair in Mexico, he rolled his ankle and it looked bad. And then Yair proceeded to deliver a vicious beatdown to Brian Ortega that looked like it was going to finish him in the very first round. Like, Ortega took a crazy beating and was able to keep on fighting, and then was able to figure out that he had a tremendous advantage on the ground, and he took Yair down in the second round and really imposed his will, and then in the third round did it again and was able to finish him with that arm triangle and get the submission in the third round of what was a possible 5, which was a kind of a weird deal where they do a co-main event, non-title, 5 rounds, but it was a big fight, and it didn't need all 5. It ended in the third, And I was really impressed with Brian Ortega, just the heart of a champion. He really showed that warrior spirit fighting through that first round. The guy showed he's not going to buckle under the pressure. He is here to stay, and he showed that he's still one of the top 145ers in the UFC, which is a real statement right now. To beat Yair Rodriguez is a big deal, especially when you have a 145-pound division in flux where Alex Volkanovski, a guy that Ortega was unable to dethrone, well, Ortega, doesn't have to deal with Volkanovski necessarily because Topuria is the champion right now. So, the division's kind of moving around. Max Holloway's still out there, but Ortega finds himself in a really good spot now at 145 pounds where he could be next in line for a title shot or a fight away from a title shot after this win over Yair Rodriguez. So it was not only an unbelievable performance from Ortega, but it also put him in a very good position in the UFC's featherweight division. So, hats off to him. Big props to Brian Ortega. Massive respect. Incredible fight. It was incredible.
Yeah, he's back in the title picture. I'll just say that. Yeah, like Max Holloway has a fight coming up against Gaethje, and it's a great fight and all that. But man, Max Holloway, maybe this is a time where you would want to be active in your own division because Max Holloway has a win over Ortega. Max Holloway has wins over most of the division. And if Max Holloway was available, he might be the next opponent for Topuria.
And I'll add to that if Max Holloway takes a vicious beating in that next fight against Justin Gaethje, which, the last outing for Holloway at 155 was not successful when he fought Dustin Poirier. So fighting Justin Gaethje at just this point in time, I don't think that it's a great idea, and I think that a lot of people feel like, oh, maybe Max is in a little over his head here and he's going to get beat up because of the weight difference and all of that. If he loses bad, his stock drops, and then people go, well, I don't really necessarily want to see him fight for the title. We just saw him at UFC 300 in a BMF title fight where he just got his ass handed to him. So I think that fight, I hope he's getting paid, but I think that fight was a bad move because he could take another fight here at featherweight, beat another top contender,
BMF title
and then he could be next for Ortega or not Ortega, but Volkanovski and Topuria. Like whoever wins that fight, it's going to be settled probably. Like he could be next in line for a title shot if Topuria walks away with the belt. So to take a fight at 55 seems like a bad move.
This whole BMF title, I've never been a real big fan of it. And right now, like you say, he's going for the prestige of that title, and instead he should be looking at his career, what is the best decision for his career, which would probably be to fight at 145 still. Because I agree, his fight against Dustin Poirier clearly won that fight. It wasn't as if it was any controversy or anything. And I think Gaethje's going to have a similar advantage. So, not the best decision, but Max Holloway's he's a fucking warrior. There's no other way to describe him. And if the UFC calls him, he's showing up. That's just how he is. So, I'm happy to see him fight. But, man, if he was available right now, he'd be the next contender because Volkanovski, I feel, needs some time off now. He got knocked out against Islam and again against Topuria. So take some time off, Volk. Take at least 6-8 months. Get back into it, and then you get your rematch. I would give Volk a rematch as soon as he's available. But in the meantime, there should be somebody else. Holloway wouldn't be the logical choice.
Yep, exactly. But now, who knows with that fight with Justin Gaethje, what happens, how it goes down, how he comes out of it. We'll see. But definitely a featherweight division with a lot of moving parts, right? It's not a clear path to the title. It's not a clear path to who's next for Topuria or Volkanovski, whoever wins. But it seems like they will fight again at some point this year. And then, we'll see. But Ortega's put himself in a really good position and maybe in a better position for a title shot right now than Holloway. Maybe. I'm seeing some chat here. Johnny North saying Jones and Francis was the highlight of the week. I think they're talking about the PFL. 12-15% talking about John Jones as well. Shout out to
John
Angelo
Jones is
Contagonis.
so fat right now. Have you seen the video of him he's doing like a seminar or something, training, and he's big. He's huge. What happened to John Jones?
I mean, I don't know. He's been hurt.
He's living it, man.
Getting older.
He's been living it,
He's
Dave.
big.
I don't think he's hurt. I think he's just like,
whatever. He's not in training camp. He can't do anything.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? He's injured.
It was Chuck E. Cheese there, man. He was big.
He'll still beat Stipe when they fight, and then that'll probably be it for John Jones. I think he's semi-retired. You know what I mean? Like, whatever.
Yeah, me too. I think he's retired in his head.
Yeah.
He might come for one big fight that he's pretty confident he'll win.
Yeah. He's done it all.
Exactly.
He doesn't need to prove anything for him to be considered the greatest of all time. He doesn't need to beat Francis Ngannou. He doesn't. Francis Ngannou needs to beat John Jones more than John Jones needs to beat Francis Ngannou. If Francis Ngannou is the guy to beat John Jones, everybody says, oh my God, what a victory. Francis is the greatest. If John Jones beats Francis Ngannou, everybody says, Francis wasn't all that good to begin with, and John Jones is still the greatest.
You guys
he doesn't
saw that
need it.
Ferreira, you guys saw Ferreira and Bader fight?
Yeah.
It was like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That Ferreira guy, man, maybe he could be a guy that gives problems to, I don't know, he's big, he's strong.
He's going to beat Francis Ngannou.
Size advantage, but
he's going to beat him.
He could give problems maybe to Ngannou.
He's going to beat him. I'll bet anything. And I'll tell you why he's going to beat him. Because he's an MMA fighter.
Tell me.
Because he's an MMA fighter. And Francis Ngannou right now, you think he's training any MMA?
No, he's boxing in 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
His fight with Joshua's coming soon.
How much MMA training you think Francis Ngannou has done since he left the UFC?
Well, I'm sure he is. He's always going to be. He's an athlete who's been in that sport and always is part of that sport.
If he's training MMA, training MMA since he left the UFC, first of all, when he left the UFC, he was injured, so he had knee surgery. Then he came back, and then he was planning to box the greatest heavyweight boxers on the planet. If he was still training MMA at that point, he's dumb. Because you got to dedicate yourself exclusively to boxing at that point in time because you're going up against Tyson Fury, and now you're going up against Anthony Joshua. Like, he's in the boxing world. He's a boxer. How did Conor do when he came back from the Floyd fight? Not too good. This is what I'm saying. MMA is not a game.
He's up there in age.
And he's up there too. MMA is not a game that forgives people that step away and try other things and then come back to it. MMA is a game that is constantly evolving and rewards those that put in the work. MMA always wins in an MMA fight. Francis Ngannou is a great fighter with a lot of power, but Hernan Ferreira is an MMA fighter right now. I think Francis Ngannou could knock him out, but the longer Francis stays away from an MMA fight, the more I think when he does come back, it's going to be difficult for him. So I like Hernan Ferreira. I was really impressed with how he ran through Ryan Bader like he was nothing, finished him in 21 seconds. Hernan Ferreira was the only PFL fighter to win in the PFL versus Bellator matchups at that PFL versus Bellator show last weekend. Johnny Eblin, Bellator middleweight champion, beat Impa Kasangane from PFL. Vadim Nenkov from Bellator beat Bruno Capoloza. Yoel Romero even beat Thiago Santos. AJ McKee beat Clay Collard. Like, it was a clean sweep for Bellator over the PFL, except for Hernan Ferreira, which we predicted, by the way. We did call Hernan Ferreira to beat Bader last week. We were all pretty convinced of it. But Yeah, I think, when Ngannou comes back, it'll be interesting. But, when he fights Anthony Joshua, say he wins, or say it's as close as a Tyson Fury fight was, you're telling me he's not going to pursue another big boxing match? Instead, he's going to go, okay, now I'll go to the PFL and fight Hernan Ferreira, who no one's ever heard of and is super dangerous, as we know. Right? Like, MMA fans, hardcore MMA fans were watching PFL Bellator, but the world wasn't. We know how dangerous Hernan Ferreira is, but the world doesn't really care. And the money is in boxing. The money is in these big heavyweight boxing matches. He was able to parlay the Tyson Fury fight into the Anthony Joshua fight. If he can parlay that into another big boxing match, why would he then take a Bellator or a PFL fight, whatever it is?
Well, look, if a rematch with Fury is on the table, that could make sense. But other than that, I mean, there's Deontay Wilder left. That's a big name. But, I mean, those are the three big names at heavyweight. Other than that, there's probably some good fighters, but there's no big names. So, I don't know. We'll see. Like, yeah, he needs to have a good performance. But, yeah, it's interesting. Can he, as a 0-2 boxer, make money in boxing? We'll see, man.
I mean, look, if he can make a go of it with Anthony Joshua, they could do a rematch. If he could, there's a rematch with Tyson Fury that you could definitely do. There is fight there with Deontay Wilder, like you're saying, and whatever happens there, there's always a rematch. Like, those are several fights. That's a bunch. That's like 5 or 6 fights right there that he could have with 3 different guys.
But I think in the end, because this fight is again in Saudi Arabia, correct?
Of course.
His job. So, like, it depends of the interests of the people over there, because they're the one bankrolling it. It's not about, like, though they're the people that are willing to pay him that amount of money. Nobody in the U.S., no promoter in the U.S. is willing to pay him that much to fight Joshua or Fury. So that will depend a lot of it.
Well, I don't know about that. I disagree with that, Fred, because in the United States, man, boxing is huge. I'm sure. Listen, if you could set up at Madison Square Garden a fight,
we've been through this, AJ.
Listen,
you don't understand the economics of what's going on. They didn't sell pay-per-views. It's a money loss. They're losing lots of money on this, and they don't care because they have infinite amounts of money. Huh?
But I'm telling you, not too many people knew who Ngannou was on the boxing side. That's the difference. Now they know who he is. And they know what he was capable of doing and what he did to Tyson Fury. It's a different story. There was no drama.
Let's see the next one.
Now there's a drama, and drama sells.
Let's see how much pay-per-views this sell against Anthony Joshua. I bet it's similar. I bet it's less than the Fury one, because I believe that Tyson Fury's a bigger star than Joshua. So you got Ngannou against somebody that has less star appeal than Fury.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it does less.
Yeah, I'm less interested in this fight too, because we've seen Ngannou box before, so the mystery is gone, and Tyson Fury is not as big of a star as Anthony Joshua. I couldn't pick Anthony Joshua out of a lineup. 10 guys walk down the street, I couldn't tell you who Anthony Joshua is, but I could tell you who Tyson Fury is. I know that guy. I know his face. I watched his Netflix show. You know? It was pretty good.
I got the info on the Bobby Green story, by the way, Dave.
Oh, let's go.
Whenever you're ready.
Go.
So, according to Bobby Green, he was flirting with Mackenzie Dern.
Ooh.
And according to him, she gave him a number for her to text him.
Yo.
But again, according to him, he ended up texting with somebody that ended up being her husband.
What?
And he's like, yeah, so who knows? Maybe the husband found the phone. Maybe the husband, I don't know. And in the end, he was like going like, I don't know, maybe these guys are trying to set me up or something, because he was talking to someone he believed was Mackenzie Dern, but in the end, it was her husband.
There you go. And they're saying the husband set it up.
Why is she doing that? Why is that happening?
Like I say, all that is according to Bobby Green. Mackenzie and her husband did not comment on the story, supposedly.
Okay. Well, That was a much better explanation than when AJ gave us, so thank you.
Well, I just got it briefly, man. I wasn't sure exactly what the whole story was. I forgot it was
Clearly.
Bobby Green, but I knew that there was some
titles.
controversy there. I know, dude. I didn't even have the time, man. I don't even have time to set up. I'm under the weather, as they say, which I have no idea what that means. Like, what does it mean to be under the weather? Or sick like a dog?
Well, you could be over the weather.
What does that mean?
And then you could be under the weather. You're never quite on the weather, I don't think. You could be over it,
I ain't that
under
for sure.
it. You're never in it. Right now, I'm over the weather. I'm over it.
Are you? You too? Maybe I got it from you.
What? No, I'm over it. I'm not under it. I'm fine. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm under it now.
What?
Thanks.
What do you hear about P. Diddy? What do you hear about him?
He's playing touchy with a lot of people.
Apparently. What is going on? I'm seeing.
Do you, like Dave? Do you remember maybe like a year ago or something like that? I told you like there's a lot of stories online about P. Diddy.
Thanks.
And you were like, really? And you see now they're coming out. So I saw it coming. I want to play the AJ card and just say like I saw it coming, man. I was reading online all these speculations on Diddy and
Meek Mill.
It's out there.
What?
Yeah.
Usher.
Yep.
What? He was into Usher? Literally?
I mean, these are the speculations going around the internet these days. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on and being talked about revolving around P. Diddy right now. And the stories are bananas. And it's just like, what is happening? How long has all this been going on? And like,
but the
really?
Thing is, he looks to be like a very bad person. So how long? Like, how did he manage to pull that off for so many years without like more chatter about it?
Money and power.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, but wait a sec. Hold on a sec, guys. Wasn't it Freddie that brought up a story about like him getting caught like in a dressing room or something like that? Or am I like? Who was it that brought it up on our show a while back?
I don't know what you're talking about, AJ. But yeah, there's a lot going on about Puffy right now, and it's just got me.
Well, he's puffing all right.
Thinking all sorts of stuff. Just I'm really very much into it and trying to figure out what is going on. But there are a lot of stories happening right now about Diddy, and there was stuff with his his wife, and there was some pretty terrible allegations being made about P. Diddy and some horrible things that he allegedly did. And now there's some other talk that are coming out in lawsuits where P. Diddy is having relations with some very popular rappers and R&B singers, male
I'm not
talent.
surprised.
And you go, what? And you never. I mean, the first thing, the stuff with the women and everything, and Diddy, I kind of go, yeah, I kind of suspected this. But the other stuff, like Meek Mill, like all that stuff, you go.
The rumors were out there, man. The rumors were out there for a very long time. I could give you other rumors, man, that I'll give off the air, man, of people that are in
throw it
still
out, Freddie.
in
You can't let people hang now.
The spotlight. No, man, I don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
But sometimes you wonder, like, how do these guys still have like public personas, man?
I just hope nothing happened to Biggie. I mean, other than his murder.
He's dead.
Yeah, I know. But you know what I mean? Like, if Puffy was doing this with his artists, like, was he doing this to Mace?
But was he powerful like that?
I mean,
it's funny you mentioned Mace, because I had Mace in my head just a couple of minutes ago.
I mean, him and Mace, like he was always like hugging on Mace in the videos, and you go, whoa, well.
Mace went away from the rap world for a couple of years.
Yeah, he became a preacher. He turned to God.
Yeah, there's always been weird rumors about that.
Why did Shine go to prison for Puffy?
I don't know.
Oh, man. There's so much. This guy,
Why was
Sean
J-Lo
Combs.
with Puffy?
Sean Combs. We need to stop calling him by his fun name that he's given himself because it makes it to Sean Combs. I am gonna say is probably a pretty shitty guy. All right, I think that's fair.
Send him with Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
Weinstein and all the other pieces of shit.
Day after day, you go.
Call to Epstein Island.
Puffy? Bad boy.
I'm not surprised.
Bad boy for real. Bad boy for life. He's not kidding around. Like.
Sad, man. Sad.
But I'll tell you what, man. If you look into it, man, like, there's some stories on the other side also, like, who was Puffy's biggest nemesis on the other side? There's rumors of that big guy also being a little on that side.
Suge? Yeah. Yeah, well, he spent a lot of time in prison.
That could do it to you.
That happens. Yeah.
Don't pick up the bar of soap.
I saw a video of Meek Mill today. People are posting all sorts of videos about Meek Mill, and there's like one video where he's talking on a podcast, and he'd been in jail or prison or whatever, and he was like, doesn't it feel like you've lost a girlfriend when you lose a cellmate when they go to another jail or they get released? And the other guy's like, no. Meek Mill's like, it doesn't feel like you lost a girlfriend. And it's like, oh, what is your cellmate to you, Meek Mill? Like, what is happening? You know, like it's people like the videos are coming out and you're going, whoa, okay. Meek Mill was always, and Nicki Minaj, who dated Meek Mill, has kind of said like, hey, I know some things, you know.
Since we're on the subject of sexual abusers, unfortunately.
Yeah.
This week, man, I was seeing videos because people are bringing back the stories of Pat Patterson in the wrestling world.
Oh, boy.
And I saw a video of Roddy Piper just talking about when he was 15 entering the business, and he's not really getting into any details, man, but you're like, oh, man, this is terrible, man.
Yeah.
This is like,
this
is awful, man. 15-year-old, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing concrete, but you could just see that he's very uncomfortable talking about those days, and it's just bad.
Jesus, what the
You got to be real careful. You got to be real careful. It's a scary world out there, man.
Yeah.
It's a scary world.
Tell me about it, man.
A lot of predators out there.
Man. That's what it comes down to.
Ugh. Cool. So I just wanted to know if AJ had heard about it, basically. I just wanted to know if AJ had heard about any of this Puff Daddy stuff because I have been hearing about it constantly.
I'm not sure AJ could pick P. Diddy in a lineup. Like, you put three black guys, and I'm not sure AJ knows which one is P.
That
Diddy.
is hard, Fred.
I know that guy there, man. Lennox Lewis, man. One of the greatest.
Can't
That's
even
all I
pronounce
care
his
about.
name,
That's
but,
my world.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm going to tell you what I did here. Kanye West had a big riff with Paris, and he was ready to leave Paris because he was upset with the paparazzi, like, always following him. And he was like, I'm out of Paris. Bonjour, bonne nuit. I don't know if he actually left, but he was pissed.
I mean, I think he's just done doing his show and stuff there.
But I know Lennox Lewis, one of the greatest.
He did an incredible show in Paris. Amazing. The Vultures album that Kanye put out with Ty Dolla $ign is so good. I know neither of you guys are listening to it, but it is so good. Have you not heard Carnival? You haven't heard this song yet? Oh my God.
No.
It's crazy. Like, this album is so good. Kanye is still the man. His music is still the best. This Vultures album is just so good. You got to hear this song, Carnival. It's like bananas. The production on it is crazy. He's a genius. There's no way around it. He's misguided sometimes, but my God, I love Kanye West so much. And Kanye, you know, Kanye's been saying stuff about Diddy for years. Kanye's been saying stuff about Diddy for years. Kanye says all the stuff that they don't want you to know. He's the only one speaking the truth. You know who else has been saying stuff about Diddy for years? 50 Cent. 50 Cent is also a man who speaks the truth all the time. okay? It's his truth, so it's a little crazy, but it's great. 50 Cent is the man. 50 Cent always speaks the truth. He's been talking about Diddy for years. You know who else hates Diddy, who got into a big fight at a club with Diddy, who still hates Diddy?
No.
Drake. I bet you Diddy tried to do that stuff to Drake, and Drake was like, nope, bottles in your face. Drake does not like Diddy. So anybody that's like been publicly anti-Diddy, publicly beefing with Diddy, I think you got to take their side right now. I think you got to give them big respect. You got to give big respect to Kanye, big respect to 50, and big respect to Champagne Papi. That's Drake. That's right. AJ, I got to clarify for AJ.
Well, that's a lot of drama, man, in the music world, man. Holy smokes.
Fun stuff. Angelo Contagona says, what do you guys make of Anthony challenging McGregor on Raw a couple weeks ago? I think he means Michael Chandler. He got confused thinking it was AJ challenging Conor McGregor, which he's been known to do. But it was Michael Chandler on Monday Night Raw a couple weeks ago challenging Conor McGregor to a fight. I thought it was awkward as hell. Michael Chandler comes out going, I'm the most entertaining MMA fighter. And I'm like, you are? Who said that? You mean in the cage or on the mic? Because, like, as far as entertaining MMA fighters, if we were to make a list, say, of the most entertaining MMA fighters, I think we'd kind of forget to put Michael Chandler on it. Like, he's got good fights, but I don't know if I'd say he's the most entertaining MMA fighter or even in the top 10. So it was weird.
I mean, I didn't see the video. I just read about it. But I feel like Chandler right now is wasting the last years of his career, man. These are the last couple of years of he's 37, for him to make some decent money. And I'm wondering how is these discussion with the UFC going? Is he like, am I getting a fight? And the UFC are going, yeah, you're getting it. Don't worry. You're going. Like, what's happening, man? Who's giving him some pointers here? Like, who's telling him this is a smart idea to just wait out and not do nothing? Like, you wasted over a year and a half now almost of your career on this.
And the craziest part of it is that Dana White is always saying, don't wait. Don't wait. I always tell guys not to wait. You know, he always says that. Don't wait around. Don't wait around. Don't wait around. Then he's like, Michael Chandler is waiting for Conor, and we're going to get the fight with Conor at some point. But then Dana goes, they start pressing Dana now because it's getting ridiculous, right? Because when did The Ultimate Fighter stop airing on TV? Last August 2023? And the fight didn't happen. Dana said, like, January 2023, Conor will fight this year, and it was against Michael Chandler, and then the fight just never happened. And here we are, and it was a USADA thing. Now USADA's out of the picture like Conor said it would be, and he's still not fighting, no announcement, nothing. And Dana is even asked about it at the press conference, and he goes, well, Conor's got so much money, and that's why he's not fighting. And you go, okay, so are you not offering him enough money? And he's like, well, Conor's got so much money, it doesn't matter how much money he's got. He doesn't need to fight, and he may never fight again. And you go, so he may never fight again? Like, that's the stance of the UFC. Like, Conor will come to the table when he's good and ready, and maybe he will and maybe he won't. We're hoping that he does, but, you know, whatever. And Michael Chandler will just wait forever for Conor to eventually come back, which is crazy. He's got to take a fight at some point. Like, he's got to have a point where he goes, okay, it's like August 2024 now. There's no sign of Conor. I got to take a fight. Something's got to give. Right? Like, at a certain point, he's got to have a breaking point where he goes, it's not worth waiting anymore. The problem is he could then take a fight against whoever, make this much, and lose. and then the Conor fight's out of the picture. Or he keeps waiting, gets that retirement payday when he fights Conor McGregor, maybe beats him because it's a fight that's winnable, because every other top fight at 155 is devastating. So, it's kind of like he's screwed either way. Conor McGregor's icing him out of his whole career, of his best years. But if he fights somebody else, he risks not making the millions and millions of dollars that he would get fighting Conor.
But look at it from Conor's perspective, man. A quick Google search, they say like his net worth is $200 million. I don't know if that's accurate, but let's imagine it is. How much money is Conor really going to make fighting Chandler? Like, it's going to be a nice payday, but he doesn't need that payday. So, like, Conor might not fight again. I agree. And Conor is a smart guy still. He knows that whoever he fights, it's going to be tough, man. And Chandler is going to look at Conor to be the guy to make his name off. And, yeah, I'm not sure Conor McGregor wants to go through that again. So maybe Conor is done. I wouldn't be surprised.
Poor Michael Chandler. If he never gets to fight Conor, really sucks for him. Really sucks for him.
It might happen in years to come, man, where they have like these legend fights, like when they're in their 50s. I could see something like that happening, the fight that never, became. But it's sad. Yeah, time is ticking. At 37 years old, man, you got to take that fight, whatever it is now.
Unless Conor spends all his money, that won't happen. Because I mean, like right now, yeah. How much money can he really make fighting Chandler? Maybe 20 million. I doubt it's even that much because it's not that big of a fight. So he makes maybe 20, 25 million fighting Chandler. I mean, when they're 50, that number is going to be lower. It might still be there, but is he really going to come back and fight for 15 million, 10 million? I mean, I doubt
Freddie,
it.
And let's be honest. Conor is closer to billions than he is to the millions. Like, I'm saying, does he really need to fight for that low amount of money? I mean, Conor's at a different level now. He's acting. He's making money. I don't even know how much he made for the movie Roadhouse.
Yeah.
So he's at a different level. He's got his beer brand out, obviously, a proper 12 that's like worldwide banned. And every place you go to, like every place I went to here in Montreal, I'd always see a bottle of proper 12 on the shelves. I mean, this guy he's a smart guy. He's a businessman.
All the extra MMA losses will hurt his brand also. Like right now, his brand is still worth something. But if he continues to lose to Chandler and lose here and lose there, that brand takes a hit over time. So like right now, if he wants to be retired and just make money off his name, whether it's from acting, whether it's from sponsorship, some business endeavors, whatever, this is the time for him. Like his name is still worth something and you don't have to take a beating.
No, and like I said, he could come into a celebrity fight, right? Like, like we've seen Tyson do and whatnot, where people though are like, okay, he might lose or whatnot. It's not as devastating, You're right. I agree with that.
He can't do that, actually, because he's under contract to the UFC.
Not now, anyways.
Exactly.
Not now. I'm talking like later on,
Well, we'll see. I hope he does fight in the UFC this year.
Conor are gone.
I want to see that fight. Like, just do it, because when Conor fights, it's exciting. I like his fights. He's, you want to talk about the most entertaining UFC fighter of all time? Conor McGregor's up there on the list. He may not. I wouldn't put him as top 10 greatest fighters of all time, but most entertaining, 100%.
Yeah. He
most entertaining fighters. To me, it's like you got to have flash, you got to have a persona, you got to have, like to me, the Diaz brothers are the most entertaining, are two of the most entertaining guys in the history of the game. Anderson Silva was an entertaining MMA fighter. That guy had flash in the cage. He had a style. He had swagger. Like guys like that. Today, entertaining fighters. Who's the most entertaining fighter in fighting in the UFC today?
I think, I would say entertaining in the sense of the whole package. I think somebody like Paddy Pimblett that comes out sometimes can be pretty entertaining.
You mean as your fight performance has to be entertaining or your persona?
I don't know, man. I don't
like
know,
everything,
just
the whole
everything,
package.
man. Like,
it has to be the
I don't
whole
know,
package.
the Diaz brothers had it all, right? Anderson Silva, he had it all. Conor McGregor, for a moment there, he had it all. I'm talking about, like, just great. I don't know. Whatever you think,
show, like,
whatever entertains you. Like, I'll tell you,
Alex Pereira has it all.
Mm-hmm.
He's a double champion, 2-division champ. He's stone cold. His face, he's got the look, he's got the attitude.
Yeah,
Alex Pereira is that guy right now.
And Dana White called him one of the scariest fighters that he's ever encountered. So
I'll give you a weird one.
Straight up saying, man.
I'll give you a weird one. The guy that I'm entertained by the most in the UFC right now, like right off the top of my head, is Shavkat Rakhmonov. Because, like, he doesn't even speak English.
Yeah, he's up there.
But I like the way he carries himself. I like his cool hat that he wears. And all his fights are unbelievable. The way he fights, I just go, my God. He is, to me, like my most entertaining fighter. Like, I'm looking forward to the Shavkat fights more than anybody else's fights right now in all of the UFC. Because there's something about that guy. He's very special, and I wonder how far can he go. So for me, it's Shavkat.
You know who's not on my list? Shamil Gaziev.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not on my list.
Neither is Jairzinho. Although I do like Jairzinho. He is kind of fun to watch when he knocks people out or gets knocked out.
Is it the first time that we have a UFC event where the main event, one of the guys doesn't have a Wikipedia page?
Damn.
I mean, like, we've seen fighters without Wikipedia pages, but the main event guy doesn't have a Wikipedia page, man. That's like, who's Shamil Gaziev?
Listen, Freddie.
I know he's fought
That's
before
the
in
fastest
the UFC.
guy, man. Listen, he did. He had one fight, not too long ago, and he KO'd the guy, and it was vicious. He was on the Contender Series. But the thing is that he's probably the fastest guy that ever went from one fight to the main event in UFC like history, I think. And he's not even known, and he doesn't even have a Wikipedia page, which is kind of surprising. But that's what it is now. But look, if you're talking about this fight now, man, I'm telling you, this Gaziev is a much bigger guy than Rosenstruck, and he has a much better record. And you know what? He's kind of like under the radar because he's only had one fight, and he fucked up that guy pretty bad on the last fight. So, yeah, it's kind of strange how he would go straight to the main event, but I guess the UFC sees something in him that, quite entertaining. And he's in his 30s. I forgot what he's at. He's, 34 years old?
They're looking to make a star out of Shamil Gaziev, and Fred noting that he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. He's a 12-0 MMA fighter, but he's crushing the competition, and I think the UFC is trying to make it so that he does have a Wikipedia page, so people do know who he is, because he is beating people up. He is finishing all of his fights. In the UFC, he's only had a couple, right? The Contender Series and then his UFC debut, but there's a lot of hype. And, of course, that Contender Series, they like to push those guys to the top real fast. But this guy seems like the real deal out of Dagestan, another guy from Dagestan, 34 years old. And, Jairzinho has been up and down in the past few fights. Lost his last fight to Jailton Almeida. Won to Chris Daukaus before that, but then lost to Volkov before that, and Blades. Like, he's had some losses. He's a dangerous striker, always dangerous, but I feel like this is the fight for Shamil Gaziev to have a coming out party, and, this is kind of designed for him to become the star, or, it's like a sink or swim. Can you deal with Jairzinho? If you can, you'll fight tougher competition. If you can't, well, maybe the UFC isn't for you. But I think he will deal with it, and I think the UFC wants him to deal with it and get the win. So minus 160 right now at bet99.com, Shamil Gaziev. I'm going with Shamil. And, probably by knockout. AJ, who you got, Shamil?
Well, that's the thing. Like, you're talking about Rosenstruck, and I was looking at his record, and then it broke down, and I'm like, even though he's won against Daukaus, he won against Augusto Sakai, he won against Junior Dos Santos, but all these guys were like 0-4 runs, and Dos Santos was 0-5. So he's beating guys that are basically probably would have been kicked out of the UFC years ago. So his wins are not impressive wins against guys that are just tanking. But listen, man, this guy, Gaziev, he's pretty interesting, man. He messed up that guy. I don't know if you remember watching that fight with Budai, man, but holy smokes, that was like pretty impressive. And the guy's been in the UFC just recently, but he's been in the pro circuit since 2020. He fought his first amateur fights back in 2018. He's one big boy, man. And one thing with Rosenstruck, he's huge. Probably has the biggest hands in the UFC. But this guy kind of like towers Rosenstruck as well, including weight. Their reach is pretty much similar at 78. But I'm telling you, man, this Gaziev, just the clips that I saw, I'm like, holy smokes. From Dagestan of that size?
Yeah.
Beast. Yeah, he's a beast. His grappling probably, they're saying goes to Rosenstruck, but I'm not sure about that. We haven't seen it too much.
I don't know. Dagestan grappling is usually pretty good. We have a bunch of guys from Dagestan on this card, and they're all undefeated, and they're all on my parlay, and they will all remain undefeated. So we have Mohamed Mokayev, who is one of the top flyweights in the world, looking better and better every fight. He takes on Alex Perez. And then we've got Umar Nurmagomedov. Yes, Nurmagomedov of the Khabib family. I think he's the cousin of Khabib or something. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, he's Khabib's cousin. His uncle was, Khabib's father. So there you go. He's Khabib's cousin. He's undefeated. He's a bantamweight, and he's fighting Belzat Almakan. And he's a ginormous favorite. Khabib's cousin Umar, minus 1,300 to remain undefeated. Something those Khabib guys do real well is never lose MMA fights. Khabib did it, and it seems like all his friends follow the path, which is scary and impressive. It's just unbelievable how they've got the MMA game locked down. Ridiculous. It's ridiculous. They're so good. Oh, man. So that's going to be the Team Dave parlay, too. I'm going to give you that right now, right off the bat. What the hell? It's Shamil, minus 160, Mohamed Mokayev, minus 340, and Umar, minus 1,300. 20 will get to you 45-29 over at bet99.com. That is the 3-fight parlay from Team Dave. 20 gets you 45 at bet99.com. Umar, Mokayev, and Shamil. What's up? What do you got? You got something?
It's tough, man.
It's tough? How is it tough?
I don't know. It's an awful fight card, man. I do agree Shamil's going to win. I got him on my parlay, but I'm not sure who I'm parlaying him with, man. I think I'm going with Shamil alone. That's my parlay.
That's not a parlay. Shamil. That's one fight. 20 gets you 32 with
it's a broken parlay.
Team Fred's Shamil pick. All right. AJ, you got something for me? Fred gave me nothing. It's okay, though. Fred gave us lots of content last week. He had a list of names, and the UFC Hall of Fame was amazing.
He did, man. Oh,
so good.
I feel I've been good today also, man.
Oh, you've been solid. Right? You've been good today. But man, we had a short. I saw a short video of you breaking it all down for the UFC Hall of Fame. It was on our Instagram today. Fantastic.
It was really good.
It was very good.
Yeah, it was nice.
Fred really brought it last week. Watching the video today, I was like, wow, Fred really brought it last week.
I just hope Diego Sanchez and Clay Guida don't see it.
Yeah, right? They'll be pissed. That's going to go viral, and they're going to come after you. Clay Guida will probably be cool, but Diego Sanchez will come after you. You know it, too.
Freddie, I can assure you this, man. We hit like the 400,000 views like last week, so chances are it's possible that he sees that. In fact, if you want, I could send it to him. But you had a good point.
Most podcast hosts would celebrate having like tons of views. I go, oh no, a lot of people are going to see what we said. That's not good.
Well, Freddie had that was a great rant, man. And Freddie was on point. He made a lot of sense because we were like, yes, no, maybe no. But Freddie, he got it, man. But going back to this card, let's not forget who's in this card as well. We've got Ayman Zahabi from Montreal, man, from TriStar, who's on this card again. Another Montreal fighter, going up against Basharat, who is pretty
undefeated.
Damn good, man. He's on a tear, this guy. He's 14-0. So
hey,
it's
how
hard
about
for
this?
me to, you know what?
How about this? Let's go for a single bet on Ayman. Let's put a little money on Amen. All right? Because plus 550 right now. Ayman Zahabi. Plus 550. Javid Basharat minus 750. I'd put a couple bucks on Ayman. I believe in Ayman Zahabi. $20 right now on Ayman gets you $130.
Yeah.
Let's go, Ayman. You know, cash in on Ayman.
Look, Ayman can get it done, man.
Of course he can. That's a winnable fight. I think the line is underestimating Ayman and kind of going too hard on Basharat because he's a undefeated fighter. But I'm going to put a couple bucks on Ayman because I think he might be able to get the win.
Look, he KO'd his last opponent, man, in his last fight. You know.
We're getting a comment on Rumble, AJ, from Golden Tulip, who says that Conor sold Proper 12, which indeed he did. Did you say that he was still the owner of Proper 12? Did you say that?
He has another brand.
He doesn't own it. He sold it for a lot of money. He's very rich off of it, but he doesn't own it anymore. He's just like the mascot.
No, but AJ was talking about some beer, but I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, he's got a beer that he owns now.
Yeah, I think it's called Forged or
Black
something like that.
Forge,
He has another stake in another Black Forge or something like that.
Yeah.
But regardless, if he sold Proper 12, how much money did he get on that? And don't forget, he still has shares in that company as well. So that guy is making so much money. You know, Tulip, you're right, man. Like, you know, he sold it, but he's at a different point in his life, man. Does he want to get, like, his lights knocked out where he can't remember half the stuff? I mean, he's closer to $1 billion than he is to $1 million. I mean, it's a different Conor. And remember, man, this is the same Conor that 15 years ago was fighting for like $5,000 in his first UFC fight. So if there's anybody that really could go from rags to riches, living out of a car, man, avoiding all like people like, you know, wanting money from him that he hasn't paid. What a difference, man. In 15 years, the guy went from rags to riches. The Conor McGregor story, man. So now let's get back to this parlay, Dave.
Well, okay. I do have some Conor McGregor news. There's some rumors out there that Angelo was asking about, and I did do a little research there and checked it out. But get to your parlay, and then we'll get to some kind of breaking Conor McGregor news, and maybe some big UFC news too, just before we.
Okay.
So give me your parlay.
I'm gonna make this quick. I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, quick.
I'm going with Gaziev for the win here. I'm going with Umar for the win, and I'm gonna go with Mokaev for the win as well.
That's my parlay.
3-fight parlay.
That's my parlay.
You're copying.
Did you call that too?
That's what I did.
Oh shit! Okay, so I'm gonna give you another one. I'm gonna go with.
How about your boy Eric Anders? He's minus 475. You love that guy.
Yeah. You know what? Against Jamie Pickett.
Yeah.
Roll Tide.
Man, this is gonna be a tough one. You know what? Let me go with Roll Tide, man. Eric, don't let me down, but we had you on your show, man. You follow us. # Roll Tide. It's going to be a tough one. Jamie Pickett is pretty impressive, man.
Team AJ parlay for you.
Yeah, I think Eric could do it.
There you go. There's a Team AJ parlay. He's going with Shamil Gaziev, Umar Nurmagomedov, Mohamed Mokaev. It was a Team Dave parlay that he ripped off, but he added Eric Anders because we pressured him into it. Minus 475, 20 at plus 174 gets you 54.83 over at bet99.com. It's a plus 174 parlay from Team AJ. Eric, your boy Anders, Mohamed Mokaev, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Shamil Gaziev. So we need Shamil to win, guys.
Man, he looked good
if Shamil wins, at least one of us win. And if Shamil loses, then we're all screwed. How about that?
We got the Shamil.
What?
We got the Shmail.
So, let me tell you about Conor McGregor. There are rumors now, and Rafael Fiziev did an interview where he was talking about a new weight class in the UFC, and there are rumors that Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will fight for the championship in that new weight division, which would be 165 pounds. There is talk of shifting the weight classes, which... You know, it's been rumors for years, but possibly UFC finally going to do it. It does make a lot of sense to go from 155 to 170 to 155, 165, 175, and introduce a new weight division there, 165, which people have wanted for a long time, and I think we're probably going to get to at some point. I always imagined that it would happen. So why not now? Why not for Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler to become, the first ever UFC 165-pound champion, and it would give Conor McGregor the opportunity to be the first ever 3-weight champion in the history of the UFC, where he could be the 145, 155, and now the first ever 165 champion. So I think it does make a lot of sense. Just a rumor right now. Nothing is official, but I like it. I think it makes sense because the UFC right now, it's, for in the men's division, we're talking, it's 125, 135, 145, 155, and then big jump to 170. They do 10 pounds, and then all of a sudden it's 170, and then 170 to 185, another 15-pound jump. And then even 185 to 205, I always thought they should have a 195 division because why is it a 20-pound jump? Doesn't make a ton of sense. So I would not only call for a restructuring between 155 and 170, but also a restructuring between 185 and 205, where I would add a 195-pound division and keep the 205 division and just add something there in between. So I think it would make a lot of sense to go 125, 135, 145, 155, 165, 175, 185, 195, and then 205. And then anything over 205, I guess, it's 207 to 265. It's a gigantic open weight, but you look at the talent pool in that weight division and you go, yeah, seems about right. All the best guys are about 240 anyways, so just keep it the way it is at heavyweight, right? Would you divide up the heavyweight divisions? Go 205 to say
225
to 225, and then 226 to 265. You would do that?
Yeah.
Why not?
Over time, I think it would be great. At the beginning, some of the divisions might lack a little bit of depth.
Yeah.
And over time, it'd be great. But also, having just 10 pounds difference per division would make guys that want to go from 185 to 195, that would make sense, where going from 185 to 205, that's a big jump.
Yeah.
And 205 to heavyweight also could be a big jump. So
it would provide for more champion versus champion matchups, right?
Yeah. And I think it's a great idea if they start with the 165. I hope it gets done and they add it. But with that said, I'm not sure Conor should be fighting in it. Plus, if he wins, will he really be active, man? But let's see, man. I'm all for the division, though. That's a great idea.
Well, the great thing about starting a new division is that you don't have actual contenders in it, so you could put anybody you want in a title fight. Doesn't matter as long as they can make 165, they could fight. And, whatever. I think Michael Chandler, honestly, I think it's more about Michael Chandler. I think Michael Chandler deserves to fight for a UFC world title at this point because he's waited so long.
Didn't he lost his last fight?
Yeah, but just as a
Isn't he
sorry,
1-4
it's taken so long. Just as an apology.
Isn't he 1-4 in the UFC, something like that?
Yeah,
I'm not even
neither
sure
of them. Neither of them should be champions, but it'll be, they'll beat champion and then they'll lose the belt to whoever's next. So, whatever. But yeah, I like it. I hope they do it. And I think you're right, Fred. I think a division in the heavyweights, splitting up the heavyweights, it does make sense. And the more pay-per-views we have, the more events we have, you want championship fights there, right? So more titles means you can have more title fights on these pay-per-views, and you could also give the champions a rest. Some champions are fighting 2, maybe 3 times a year. You can kind of rely on the champions you have a little bit less because you'll have more champions. More divisions means more champions, more people to headline the pay-per-views, less you have to rely on the same people over and over again to headline your big events, right? So I think it's good for the UFC. I think it'd be good for the fighters. It would open up for a lot of jobs in a bunch of different divisions, right? They got to fill those divisions with contenders and fighters and contracts and all of that. So I think it'd be good for the sport as a whole because once the UFC does it, every other MMA company is going to follow suit, right? Like, if the UFC has a 170 division, every other MMA company has a 170 division. It's not like PFL does it any different. You know what I'm saying? Like, PFL, their weight classes are the same just because they follow what the UFC does. But the UFC doesn't have to do it that way. They can change it. And if they change it, I think a lot of other MMA companies will do the same thing, right? Like, if the UFC goes from 155 to 65 to 75, how long until PFL makes a switch too?
They probably follow.
Yeah, they probably do it right away, because why not? It makes logical sense to everybody who follows the sport. We just, we've been dragging our feet to figure out how to do it and get it regulated or whatever. But, like, come on. There's a lot of things in MMA where you go, this doesn't make logical sense. Why don't we change it? And it's just like, bureaucracy, whatever. The gloves. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much where you can go, there are fixes to this. Why don't we do it one day? And, this is going to be one of the fixes that we'll be the old guys that remember, when George St. Pierre was a welterweight champion at 170 pounds in a division that no longer exists. Right? That'd be weird. What a time. What a time to be alive, AJ. You've seen it all, right? You've seen it all.
I have, man. UFC 1 to, like, George, like, retiring and seeing George still. Like, George is in top shape right now. I mean, this guy is, like, in better shape than some MMA fighters. But, yeah, that's a different story. But it's hard, man. When it comes to the heavyweight division, man, it's, you got to make weight, man. That's all. That's how I look at it.
You know what I really like? I like the idea of a super heavyweight division. It'll probably be the last division they add to the UFC, if ever. But my God, do I want to see 300-pounders fighting each other. I think 265 is not right. I think you should allow guys like Shaquille O'Neal and The Big Show and ginormous people to fight in the UFC too. It's not fair. We should have people that weigh 300 pounds. Don't make Brock Lesnar cut weight. Have 300-pounders, 400-pounders fight each other in the UFC. That's what I want to see. These people exist.
Well, that was
there are people out there that are over 265 pounds, and they cannot cut down to 265 because they're too big. I want to see those guys fight. Don't you? Don't you want to see Godzilla versus King Kong in the UFC octagon? Come on, man. Come on, man.
Look,
what are we doing?
Early fights of the UFC. The early fights of the UFC, man.
Give me more Hongman Choi fights.
Man, look, there were sumo wrestlers that came in there that were at 400-something pounds. I mean, that was the origins of what the UFC was back in those days. It was open, absolute weight, man. But in the UFC, man, like in heavyweight, there's got to be some kind of a limit. And the thing is with those big heavyweights, man, it wasn't.
In Quebec, there's no limit, which is super cool. In the Quebec weight, the Quebec Commission, there's no limit, and I know this because I saw Butterbean fight Eric Barak, and there. Butterbean was over the 265 limit, but in Quebec, the heavyweight class is open weight, so you can be any weight. You could be as heavy as you want, which is cool. I like that. Open weight,
remember that Butterbean fight? I think the guy was how big was he? He wasn't very big at all when he fought Butterbean.
No, but he beat him.
That last fight in Quebec.
Yeah.
He beat him,
Fred's
and I was
buddy.
speaking to that guy after the...
Got Fred banned. The first time.
Really?
Yeah. That's a long story.
No.
Yeah, he grew up with Eric Barak.
I was talking to that fighter. He was pretty cool guy, man.
Yeah, great guy, man.
Yeah, something.
I've said it before. This guy pulled the best practical joke ever on me. Like he was all into fitness when we were young, and I go to him like, "You use something? What do you use?" And he goes, and this is back in the Barry Bonds days, where Barry Bonds is using the clear. So he goes to me. He uses this cream. He goes, "You put it on, and you do your sets. You do your training, but you can't put it on for more than 15 minutes because it's super powerful, and you got to go take a shower after." So I do that, and I do my sets, and then I go into the shower, and all my hair fell because he gave me meat cream. Best practical joke anybody's ever pulled on me. But so when people say, like, Fred, would you do steroids? in my head, I did. Like, I was doing steroids that time, man. But it ended up, it was just neat cream.
Yeah.
That is.
That's too bad. It's too bad it wasn't steroids and you get big like Barry Bonds. That would have been awesome.
Or Brock Lesnar, man. Freddie Lesnar, man.
Speaking of Barry Bonds and baseball, Johnny North, nice to point out that the Yankees and Marlins went to a 0-0 final tonight. It's a preseason game.
In baseball?
Spring training. They do a tie because it's like, all right, we've played. It's just practice. It's not real. And, Yankees in spring training. I've been enjoying that. I actually watched my first Yankee game of 2024 on the weekend, watched them beat up on the Blue Jays, which was fantastic because the Blue Jays absolutely suck, and the Yankees are great, and Juan Soto is the man. I'm so excited about Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. So, yes, there will be plenty of baseball talk as the months roll on. I'm already in full baseball mode, very excited. I'm doing my own spring training, getting ready for nothing. I'm hoping somebody calls me and says, we have an opening on a softball team, you know? If anybody wants me to play on their softball team, I'm getting ready for the summer to be, like, very good at baseball again. I used to be pretty good, and I'm trying to be halfway where I was. And if anybody wants me to play on their team, my arm is going to be in peak form by the summer, let me tell you. Peak form. And I can always hit. Hitting is never a problem. I can smash a baseball or a softball.
Shit, man.
Yeah, I would like to play softball. You know, I think I'm too old to play hardball. I think my hardball days are over. I want to play softball.
Dave, let's form a ringside team, man. There we go.
Should we? Angelo, you want to play on our team?
Angelo, we get
Johnny
AJ.
North? AJ, Fred?
Johnny North for sure, man.
We can have a Ringside Report softball team? Fred?
I mean, like, I'll be 100% honest. After one game, you won't want to play with me no more.
Why?
Because I'm definitely not running hard, man.
So?
Like, if I'm hitting,
that's okay. You play catcher,
hitting to third, a grounder to third, I'm walking because I know I'm out. I'm not hustling.
I don't care.
See, you don't want me on your team, right?
I'm not that intense. I'm not going to be that hard on you, Fred. I'm definitely going to coach the team, but I'm not going to be too hard on you. I'll be fine. I will make fun of you for not running, but I'm not going to be mad.
We'll put in a pinch runner.
And I'm not even talking about fast pitch. I'm not even talking about fast pitch softball. I'm talking about slow pitch, old man softball where nobody's running, really. I'm just chilling, you know?
So let's do the ringside team, man. That's it. It's done. I'm going to organize it.
I want to play in a league where we're playing everybody's bad and I'm just dominating everybody. I just want to crush people at softball, you know?
So let's look into it, man. Ringside Report team, man. We just got to get a second name. Ringside Report.
Oh, we got to have a fun team name.
Old guys.
How about the Rhinosauruses? The Ringside Report Rhinosauruses.
We need a logo.
Yeah, we could make a logo. Ringside Report Rhinosauruses.
PR Mark, man. Get on the horn.
Rhinosaurus. Angelo says he's down. Angelo's going to be on our team. I know Angelo can hit for power. Johnny North, are you down to be on the Ringside Report softball team? Because right now we have 4 members. If we can have Johnny, that's 5. We only need 9. We're almost there.
Easy, man.
We almost have a team.
We can get a couple of guys off the street.
Who else is in Montreal that wants to join the Ringside Report softball team? Leor, you're in. Shout out to Leor. Leor's in New Brunswick. I think the trek is too far. It's too far for Leor, but I would like to have Leor on our team. Johnny, are you in? We're making a Ringside Report softball team. I could probably get my brother to be on the team. He's part of the Ringside Report crew.
There you go, man.
He'd be on the team.
My brother, man, too.
Ooh, okay. We got the DeLessio brothers, the Simon brothers, little competition. Who's got the better batting average at the end of the season?
Sanchez brothers. It'll be crazy, man. There'll be a lot of drinking and weed smoking, that's for sure. But listen, I think this is a great idea. Look,
I think it's a great idea too. Find a league for us, AJ.
But you probably have better contacts than me in that department. You know what? Let me talk to my brother.
Talk to your brother. See if he can find us a nice slow-pitch softball league where a group of ragtag gentlemen can play some leisurely softball.
Or listen,
DJ Bourne is in. DJ Bourne wants to be on the team. DJ Bourne, you are on the team. You're on the team, DJ Bourne. He's on the team.
Man, think about the entertainment. Weed, booze, and DJ spinning the the records, man. It's going to be
I like
nuts.
this team already. I really like this team we have. Johnny has not confirmed whether or not he's on the team, but I'm hoping he is.
Oh, you know who I could get?
Johnny is.
Yeah.
Johnny's going to be on. We could get George St. Pierre, man. I'll talk to George.
Get George on our team. Actually, I think I saw him
We
do
get James.
like a.
We get.
Wait. I'm pretty sure on the Ultimate Fighter, when he did it against Josh Koscheck, they did like a baseball challenge where George had to hit baseballs, and he was awful. He's not on our team. I don't want him on our team. He sucks.
George, you're gone.
George, you suck.
But he'll
baseball.
probably run harder than I will.
Yeah, he's very athletic. He'd pick it up pretty fast. By the end of the season, he'd be better than all of us. You know that, right? Like that's the problem. Is that by the end of this, like he'd start off, he'd be all awkward, and then if he played a whole season, like by the halfway mark, he'd be very good, and by the end, he'd be like dominating everyone. He'd be like, "Damn, man, George got good at softball. What happened? Like, what is that guy?
There's
Pro
nothing
athlete or
that
something?
stops
What's the
me.
deal?" Johnny says, I'm wrestling a lot right now and can't commit to more sports. That is true. Johnny is very busy.
Yes, you can, Johnny.
He's got a
couple
lot of
games
wrestling
here and there, man.
bookings. It's too bad. Maybe I could call Green Phantom. He's got a lot of wrestling bookings, but he's always down for a good time.
I mean, it'd be a good
There you
reason
go.
for
We
Johnny
could
to
do
add
this,
a
man.
baseball to his wrestling gimmick.
Yeah.
Listen, man, you know what? I got somebody else. So I get James Boom Boom. If James comes, George might show up.
James Boom Boom
James?
Mancini on our team?
James.
Yo, that
Boom
guy's
Boom,
got an
man.
impossible
We got
strike zone. Impossible.
I know, man.
He's
It's
shorter
gonna-
than me.
It's going to be nuts, dude.
Hard
Listen,
to
man, I
throw
went to go
strikes
see
to
a
a
show
guy
of
like
his,
our
not
size,
long
you
ago,
know?
man.
Short guys,
we
we
can
got
get
small
Muscles
strike
Marco.
zones.
Yeah, I forgot Muscles, man.
He's a real athlete too, James Boom Boom. He would be good. Get some pro athletes on this.
Yeah.
Maybe I could
And then we got Fred
maybe
and
I could
Muscles,
see who I
same
could
amount
call.
of speed.
I'll call a couple people that I know and see if they have contacts for Russell Martin. Maybe I could get him on our team. I used to play with him in NDG. Maybe he's still around. He wants to play on our team. That'd be good, right?
I think AJ's going to get Drake on the show before.
Yeah, probably. I don't think Russ Martin's going to play on our softball team. You never know.
Maybe we could get Drake.
You never know.
Listen, man. We got DJ. Drake is not too far away, man.
So hold on. Let's count the team now. Me, Fred, me playing. Where are we playing now? I'm playing shortstop. Obviously, that's the spot for me. I got to play short. Fred, position, first base.
Right field.
Right field. Angelo, first base. Angelo's our first baseman. AJ, I see you at second for some reason, but I also see you in like left field, kind of confused.
Listen, short or second was my spot, man. Listen, I'm gonna smash the competition there, dude. I'm going there to win.
Actually, I want to be DH, man. I don't want to run.
You have to field. I need a third baseman, really. The third baseman is key. We're gonna need somebody with an arm to play third.
My brother, man.
That's okay. Get your brother to play third. I think anybody can pitch, really. DJ Bourne, I think he's either pitching or playing center field because we need a center fielder. We need a pitcher at this point. We got a third baseman. We got a short. We got second. We got Angelo at first base. We need a catcher. We need a center fielder. Fred's in right. AJ's in left.
Muscles Marco, man.
Muscles Marco is pitching. DJ Bourne's okay. Muscles Marco is catching. DJ Bourne is pitching, and we need a center fielder. And I think we got a team. My brother's in center. Bada bing, bada boom. We have a softball team. I think we're good. I think we have all the members.
We need a mascot.
Am I in three different positions? Did I count that right? Did I put 3 guys at first base? I'm not sure. I'll set the lineup. I'll set the lineup after the show, and we'll find a league and we'll make a softball team. I am not kidding about this. I am dead serious. We're gonna have a Ringside Report softball team this summer. I'm very excited.
I'm in, man. I'm in 100%.
Coach Dave has got you covered. We're gonna have practices 4 times a week, guys. It's gonna be serious. Fred, get ready. Fred, you're gonna have to stop doing jiu-jitsu and dedicate all your time to softball. Also, no more hanging out with your kids. I'm sorry. It's serious. Fred's out.
That won't happen.
Fred's out. No, we got to do jiu-jitsu too. I think jiu-jitsu is part of being on the softball team. You have to do jiu-jitsu. Otherwise, somebody's going to choke you on the other team. We got to be careful. All right, guys. Enough of this foolishness. We'll be back tomorrow night with Johnny North. I'll be back tomorrow with Johnny, and we'll talk professional wrestling. There's a whole lot going on. AEW Revolution is coming up on Sunday, Sting's final match, so we will do the preview for that tomorrow night right after SmackDown, 10 p.m. Eastern Time here on the Ringside Report Network. And I want to wish luck to all the Canadian wrestlers, Canadian Olympic wrestlers competing right now in Mexico, in Acapulco, or there's Olympic qualifiers going on. The great David Zilberman is out there coaching, and a bunch of wrestlers from the Montreal Wrestling Club are out there as well. So good luck to everybody, all the men and women competing for the Canadian national team in Mexico this week at the Olympic qualifiers. We are watching. We are wishing you luck. And also give a shout-out to the quintet. The, what is it called? The triplet? What is it?
Trifecta.
Trifecta. Yeah, trifecta coming up in March, the 22nd, I want to say. Yeah, and you can get tickets right now at eventbrite.ca for that one. They have tickets, eventbrite.ca. If you search Montreal Quintet, you can go check that out. AJ, Freddie, and I will be there watching the jiu-jitsu action, a tremendous jiu-jitsu show. We've got some great competitors from 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu competing, including Luca and Jonathan Saint-Amour, and also Phil Blanchard is also competing in a 4-man tournament. So we have a 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu team in the trifecta, and then Phil, the great Phil, with the most devastating S-mount I've ever felt in my life. He weighs less than me, but my God, when he has that S-mount, it feels like he weighs 1 billion pounds, and Phil is the man, so I can't wait to see him compete at that event. It's going to be awesome. Shout out to Phil and Luca and Jonathan and the whole 10th Planet team.
And don't forget
Fred,
Johnny, man.
How about that S-mount?
Don't forget Johnny North.
Pretty intense.
That's good. Every time.
Go gadget, wait.
Yeah, you're like, what? What is happening? How are you doing this? Crazy. And, of course, Johnny North this Sunday in Laval, Sunday afternoon. And, of course, Torture Chamber Pro Wrestling, Sunday afternoon in Laval. Go check out the big man, Johnny. There's so much action going on all the time, right? You can go to all the things. You can go see Johnny North. You can go to the Trifecta in a couple weeks. Like, there's a lot happening all over the place in the world of combat sports here in and around the city of Montreal where we are located, and, of course, around the world. There's tons of combat sports happening all the time. And I should tell you that this card coming up on the weekend starts at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. I think the main card is 4 p.m., so it's an afternoon show. The UFC this weekend is on in the afternoon. Other than that, that's it. More info on Johnny's show at North Genesis on Twitter, at Genesis Johnny North on Instagram, and we'll talk about it tomorrow night.
Johnny.
Tomorrow night on Wrestling Uncensored, right here on the Ringside Report Network.
Thanks for sticking with us to the end. We would really appreciate it if you could help us spread the word. Please share this episode on whichever social media platform you use. Add a comment below and consider reviewing us on Apple Podcasts. We are an audience-supported network, so consider becoming a recurring supporter at membership.ringsidereport.net.